Donald Trump actually has a real shot at 2024. And so I get that they want to have all these debates and this and that, and get other people out there and get some exposure and talk about these issues. But there is only one person right now at the top of the ticket. So I guess they're all competing for, I don't know, VP. Tim Scott just dropped out of the race and announced that he has a girlfriend, which even his staff was kind of shocked by. They said, great. And he's off and he's not interested in running for the presidency anymore. Could he be a VP candidate? I don't know. You know, I think that a lot of people are starting to talk about one person in particular that made a surprise appearance with President Trump over at Madison Square Garden the other night. And the crowd went wild. Take a look. Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump, accompanied by Kid Rock and the president of the Martial Arts Fighters Association.
Making his way into the building. One of the bigger mixed martial arts fans I know, President Donald Trump, taking his octagon side seat for UFC 295.
There he is. Crowd's going crazy. You see Tucker Carlson behind him is one of his guests. You see Kid Rock right alongside him. And Dana White. You see Don Jr. What a crowd. They are thrilled. They are excited.
Here for the prelim coverage, but as you know, best is yet to come. Main card for UFC.
All right, this was all tweeted out actually by Tucker Carlson on Twitter the other night. So everybody looked like they were having a pretty good time. Could Tucker Carlson actually be Trump's pick? What do you guys think? I'll check in with you here in the chat. I mean, you know, hey, like crazier things have happened. Maybe not. Maybe not on that one. I would say it would certainly be interesting. I would not expect this to happen. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up here. I would not expect it to happen only because, one, I think Tucker's really smart. And he doesn't want to go into politics for that reason, right? I mean, Trump, he's already in it. Like, tough luck, right? You know, he's probably like, what the heck? You know, I used to just run a business and now I'm in politics and people are coming after you no matter what. So Tucker's like, you know, he knows that is sort of the drill. And I don't think he necessarily wants to invite that. He's trying to build a business himself. We just had one of the investors actually in his company on the show the other day talking about it. So would Tucker do it? Would Trump ask him? Let's indulge in that for just a moment. If that were to happen, the problem would be, at least from the Republican standpoint, I mean, Democrats might love it because then they would pull all those texts. And remember all those texts that came out that I suspect were leaked by Fox about how Tucker felt about Trump? Clearly they're over it, right? I mean, and hey, I think Trump can move on. People in politics tend to move on. Don't forget what Trump said about Ted Cruz's wife and Ted Cruz's dad, right? That he killed Kennedy. I mean, so there's some things that have been said and like everybody moves on and everybody's hunky-dory. And I'm sure both Tucker and Trump could do that. But I have a feeling that the Democrats would enjoy that a little bit too much, like playing back some of those texts, et cetera. And as I said, I think Tucker he probably realizes that he can have a bigger effect from here on the sidelines, and he can, than actually being entrenched there in Washington and having to deal with all the bureaucrats. And so I wouldn't think he would do it. So which gets us back to the question of who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? I don't necessarily think Tim Scott would be the one, although he has sort of a muted enough personality next to Donald Trump that it might actually kind of work. It's weird that I say that, right? But I'm thinking about Mike Pence and how he played off of Trump. And I think that that's what Trump is really going to try and go for. He doesn't want somebody who's going to come and like suck all the oxygen out of the room. And I know you guys have talked about Kari Lake. The problem perhaps, and I'm just trying to get myself inside Trump's head, might be that Kari's a very dynamic woman. She's great. But again, like a lot of the oxygen is going to get sucked out. And by the way, she's running for Senate and, she's busy with that and maybe she'll move on to bigger things one day. But it's kind of like, how do I say this? You got your leading man and supporting actor. So you need to cast for the supporting actor. So who is that? Right? Like, take a stab. Is it Kid Rock? Is it Tucker? Is it Kari? Is it Kristi Noem? I think a lot of people think that she might be a potential. It's definitely not Ron DeSantis. I mean, that ship sailed. And by the way, Ron has did he's running to the right of Trump, for goodness sakes. It's got to be somebody who's going to be able to pull in a lot of votes. I mean, this is why George is interesting, right? With Tim Scott, and not be overwhelming. Byron Donald, PGB, recommends. I hear you. You know, Byron's been on the show. You know, I'm a huge fan. I love it because he actually knows a thing or two about the economy. Imagine that, right? It's not like any of these people in Washington actually understand economics, but Byron does. And so he would be an interesting choice. And he comes with Florida, although Trump already has Florida, right? So as we game this out, like, let's keep the ideas coming. If you don't get a chance to write them here in the chat, in the live chat, shame on you, because that means you haven't subscribed to the live edition of the show. Do me that favor if you haven't. Hit the subscribe button. But do put your comments below and let me know what you think. I mean, who could be a real contender for vice president, knowing or believing that Donald Trump is probably at the top of the ticket right now? And then meanwhile, what about the Dems? Like, who are they going to run? Like, if I were running the DNC right now, not that I want to give him too many pointers, I'd say, okay, you know what, Joe? We love you. We love you, buddy. But it's not going to happen. Like, it can't happen. It can't happen because you're not well, sir. And you know what? We need people that have energy, that are more youthful, and that are willing to just really, I don't know, at least be able to get from point A to point B. You saw the tape. I was looking to play it for you again, but you saw the tape I showed you earlier. I mean, it's just not happening. So Joe Biden is not the solution. The question is this.
How strong that team is, making his way into the building.
You hear that? How strong that team is?
I know President Donald Trump taking his octagon side seat for UFC 295.
With Kid Rock and Tucker Carlson behind him. Wow, the crowd sure likes that idea.